In this video, I'm going to be introducing you to how to do embroidery. The first thing you should do is prepare your embroidery hoop. So you need to unscrew the two sections from one another so the two rings are separate. Then you're going to place your piece of fabric over top of the smaller ring and put your larger ring over top so they fit snugly. You'll tighten the screw so that it is nice and taut. You're aiming for something like the skin of a drum, very tight. If it's not quite tight, you can pull along the edges to get where you need to be. Next, you're going to prepare your embroidery needle. Take your needle out of the pack and then get your thread. Once you have your thread or embroidery floss, you're going to have to make sure that the edges are trimmed neatly, which is where a pair of scissors come in handy. Check the edges to make sure that they're not frayed, and if so, trim them neatly so it's easier to load into the eye of the needle. You have to make sure that it's flat and smooth or it'll fray as it's going into the eye of the needle. A good trick, of course, is to use the saliva between your lips to just make sure that it's smooth, and then it will go in a little bit more precisely. So you can just run the embroidery thread on the inside of your lips. Once it's loaded, and you can see here I made a mess of it and they got all frayed, I have to trim the frayed bit off and try loading again. You get better at this with experience, but sometimes mistakes still happen, so don't fret, just keep trying. Once the embroidery thread's all loaded, you want to leave a small tail hanging off the end. Next, you need to tie a knot in the end of your thread. You want to make sure that the knot you tie is larger than the eye of the needle so that when you pass the needle through the fabric, it doesn't pop through the hole. So here I'm tying 3 knots, one on top of one another. I'm checking to make sure that it is in fact larger than the eye of the needle.